But another
Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with Cloud's tactic there. His units were all in the red, and he continued to attack. I guess that was a very, very brave squadron of Marauders and Marines.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't want to waste the 4 EMPs that those ghosts valiantly put down before they died. Thought that if he allowed those units to recharge their shields, it would just those ghosts would have died in vain. But it looks like they did anyway. The Archons just tanking their way through these Terran forces right now. Terran's trying to take down this second Nexus, but it's not looking good for these Terran forces behind enemy lines. And Cloud just queuing up even more Marauders up to the Protoss forces. I think the Protoss has a pretty good position on these Terrans right now. And Cloud, I think, feeling a little bit more confident than he should be. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these Marauders are going to be able to push their way through. But of course, the Storms come in to answer that question, and the answer to that question is no.
Well, you know what? Hasu doesn't have many stalkers, and Terran can pretty much kite the entire army that Hasu has right now. So it's not a terrible idea for him to run in and just take shots at the Protoss army without having to exchange any damage.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna have to deal with these storms. I'd like to see him get a few more ghosts out here. Looks like just straight up Marauders and Marines being built right now out of the barracks. No ghosts to replenish the ranks that died in that initial skirmish. He's going to be left, facing a very difficult proposition, which is handling all these constant storms. But with a few good Medivac drop tactics, he may be able to do just enough here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hasu's second expansion going down to a nice medevac marauder drop, and now he's going to kamikaze these forces as he moves into his first expansion.
Yeah, I think maybe paying attention to these other clump of forces that he's trying to rush in now to the main base. Probably left that medevac in vain, wasn't paying attention to it, just kind of left those troops to die and do whatever that they managed to do. But the storms are going to come down here and take care of most of this main base force. One marauder is going to be left for the probes to farm down. The probes feel useful as far as the war effort is concerned. And,
Absolutely. Well, no, they're very useful. They collect all the minerals and gas required to build all the
well,
units.
that's true. Okay, well
Doesn't get more important than
they
that,
feel
right?
useful as soldiers, as war heroes, and they don't get to feel that way much. Five, what is that? 5, 6. Great force fields going down, just totally cutting off the Terran forces there. The Terran forces looked like they were going to get away, but
I know Cloud remaining completely aggressive throughout this entire game. He's doing a great job of just keeping Hasu on his heels. Like Hasu may be ahead. Hasu actually 10 units ahead in terms of army size right now, but Cloud simply continuing to attack, preventing Hasu from doing any counterattacks, and I think it's a pretty cool strategy. I mean, I'm not I like it. I like the continuous attacking. I'm not sure if it's going to work out in the end, but I do like it.
I know. I mean, I do agree with you, Base. It is really interesting to see a player that normally, under normal circumstances, had you just looked at the stats on paper, you would say is behind in the game, playing this aggressively, playing this fast-paced with just massive reinforcements. As I've said before, this is like Terran playing like Zerg, and I love to see that. Just tons of barracks pumping out units constantly, and just armies being reinforced. As soon as one army goes down, there's another army of the same size right behind it, and just great stuff to see here. Cloud feeling like maybe he's done enough to be able to expand safely now. He's taken the gold mineral field, mined it out, to a great amount, fully saturated here. He's going to get this thing mined out very quickly with a
Yeah,
planetary fortress.
not sure about Cloud's decision to destroy those rocks there, but I guess that grants his Marauders, his ground forces, easier access should his third expansion be attacked from the other side by Hasu.
Oh,
But
absolutely. I
now
mean,
Cloud
you have to do that. You
can
have to do that. You have to be able to reinforce that expansion to leave it to fend for itself, or to have to go all the way around. I mean, it's just ill-advised, I think. And I think it was the right decision for Cloud to destroy those rocks.
have a couple ghosts back on the board for Cloud, but they're not with his main army. They're way behind. Hopefully Cloud will realize that and get them in there, but before this main fight occurs.
I do have enough for EMP. Looks like he's going to use the tactic, or was thinking about using the tactic as he did before, having the ghosts run in ahead of time, kind of more or less sacrificing them to get the EMP down. Protoss gonna come back around here, go to the gold mineral expansion. Terran was caught.
Cloud now preventing Hasu from doing another proxy at the east Zelnaga Tower, and Hasu running away after taking a couple quick shots against that third expansion.
Yeah, the planetary fortress kind of pushed the Protoss away. Wasn't willing to lose any forces really to that planetary fortress, knowing that he's going to need absolutely everything he has to handle these Terran forces. When will the clash actually come? Looks like these two players kind of nervous, kind of antsy to really have this major clash take place. Uh,
Looks like these players are both dancing with each other right now, both refusing to commit because they know huge amounts of damage will be inflicted upon their army once they do commit. If Hasu moves in, he's going to be hit with a couple. What's that called? The ghost ability.
EMP.
EMPs, of course, and likewise, if Cloud commits, he will be hit with a bunch of those storms. So either way, like both players are refusing to keep their armies standing still for any length of time.
Amazing stuff here. Not so amazing right now, but that Medivac lower corner harassment. Medivac escaped with 4 Marauders in it and 1 HP on the Medivac. It was a hero Medivac for a little while, but then it made an ill-advised drop and was eventually killed. Storm's taking out a bit of the front line there, the Terran clump, the Terran managing to skirt those storms out, maybe a little bit preemptively for the Protoss, and that's exactly what you need to do. You need to force the storms out, and you need to more or less get him working the way you want him to. But those force fields are going to force the Terran to kind of stand in the storms more than he would like to, and.
One additional item of micro I would have liked to see Cloud do it there would have been to move those damaged units to the back of his forces before engaging here. But still, committing his army and being hit by more and more storms, he's losing everything here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really interesting play there for Hasu. I don't know if it was an accident or it was on purpose, but he actually was morphing 4 Archons, and it blocked in the Terrans into the storms. I don't know if that was a purposeful morph. If that's the case, it's quite genius, or it was just a happy accident for Hasu. But either way, it really put the pressure on the Terran army. And Cloud.
Yeah, do those morphing Archons have a large hitbox that you have to walk
Oh
around?
yeah, I mean they more or less act the same way as force fields do. You can't walk through them, and the 4 of them lined up like that created a barricade and just effectively ended the Terrans' chances for that little skirmish.
Oh, that's nice. After this game, I'd like to go back and just take another look at that because I didn't really notice it, and it sounds really cool the way you described it.
And a little drop, a little medevac drop over here on the high ground over the Zelnaka Watchtower was thwarted by a quick warp in the pylon, allowing Hasu to warp in units here. This last Marauder is going to try valiantly to fight off these hundreds of Protoss, but it's not going to work. Cloud sticking with medevac drops as much as he can, trying to put Hasu off his game.
Yeah, no, Cloud doing a great job of just diverting and distracting Hasu throughout this game. Um, I feel like these constant drops kind of negatively affect a player's macro, right? But the goal is to inflict more damage on your opponent's macro than your own. I'm not sure if that's worked out for Cloud throughout this game, but I really, I approve of his effort for sure.
Cloud finding the warp prism that was harassing his northerly expansion. Now another expansion being built. Units from the warp prism went down to harass it. Terran's trying to reinforce, trying to save this command center, this planetary fortress. Planetary fortress doing a good job pushing the Protoss forces back. Of course, those storms just serving such a huge role in the Protoss forces that it puts the Terran or anybody off their game so much. You got to be weary of those storms like crazy. And I mean, it's really hard to call who has the advantage here. I think you would still give it to the Protoss, but very, very difficult. Well, I guess Cloud thinks.
Well, I've looked at the army tab here, and it's 131 over 60. So,
I guess Cloud thought that the advantage was for him. Didn't really notice that his reinforcements had more or less dried up. I suppose he was running out of minerals for a great deal, and just thinking the whole game that Cloud just was able to continue reinforcing his armies, and finally, I guess the units dried up for him, and he just didn't want to see the.
yeah, Cloud was really down in his minerals. His income was really low. You know, his main expansion at the west was just completely decimated by Hasu, and I think he decided, you know, that he didn't have a chance of keeping up an income anymore, so it was time to call the game.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a fast-paced game. I think that you'd probably agree that Cloud was more or less behind the eight ball the whole time, but I think that he did, you know, uh, he performed better than I think a lot of people would in that situation. He was diligent. He still harassed. You know, he still made sure that he exerted, you know, at least half of the map control that he needed. He expanded. He reinforced. You know, it's a very good example of how Terrans need to behave in the face of just tremendous storm opposition. And unfortunately, you know, he wasn't able to take this game, but I think maybe a few adjustments in this strategy would help a lot of Terrans out in this situation. Of course, full credit goes to Hasu. I think he played a great game as well. And
Well, yeah, you know, I think in the face of many storms, many High Templar, Terran have to make use of ghosts
yeah,
fully. You know, that blast, the EMP, is just as powerful as storms. Unfortunately, it only affects the shields, but in the heat of a battle, it's just as good, and is actually an instant damage, not damage over
yeah.
time. So, you know, Terran often forget it or they undervalue it, I think. Um, Cloud making good use. I would have liked to see a little bit more use of EMP though throughout this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's really something that Terrans forget. It's just that it requires a tremendous amount of micro to be able to get the High Templar specifically with your EMPs, and you know that.
But you don't need to get the High Templar. Any units you hit will be decimated in terms of their
Oh,
shields.
absolutely, I know, but the count, you know, the we're talking about the well, I mean, I'm talking about the counter to storms, and you know,
Right,
I think
right.
that's what when a Terran is faced with a lot of storms, and they do build ghosts, they're gonna be trying to target the High Templar. You know, they're gonna be trying to take.
Well, I think maybe that's a mistake. Maybe they should just be targeting the bulk of the forces.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to take away all that energy is a huge advantage. You know, like
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
you know,
But
preventing.
often the storms will come out so fast, I think,
Yeah,
that
and
it may not even work, right? Like that energy will probably already be gone by the time you lay down those
yeah,
EMPs.
and I
I mean, if you can, you know, get the jump on the Protoss, absolutely. It'll be even more devastating for those High Templar to not have any mana or psi left to perform the
yeah,
storms.
I mean, I think Cloud had the right idea, putting the ghosts in first.
Yeah.
He would have done himself a great service to research cloak and have them be invisible. I know a lot of observers were out on the field, but you know,
Mhm.
a lot of I think a few of those times they would have stayed invisible. The EMPs would have gone down much more to where Cloud wanted them to go, and you know the tide may have been turned. And sometimes
Yeah,
it's just that
absolutely.
simple, just a simple, you know, having cloak researched, or a simple, you know, maybe building a few tanks or something like that. You know, just slightly changing the composition of your army. But I think Cloud did really well in this situation. It's very hard for Terrans to combat those storms, and you know, the Terran population will keep trying to find the best way to do it. And I think it was a great example of some progress made in that direction here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like once more, I can just say that more ghosts is the answer, and I really do believe that EMP is just as powerful as storms used against
Yeah,
Protoss.
absolutely. I mean, um, Halloween's come.
But maybe it should be used against the army
Yeah.
itself instead of the High Templar in the back.
Let's just say more ghosts in general versus Protoss. Halloween's coming up, and Baeus demands more ghosts. The Wood League demands
Absolutely.
more ghosts. And on that note,
I like that. I like that tie into Halloween. That's pure
oh,
genius
thank
there,
you,
JD.
thanks very much. So on behalf of myself, Jadius, Baeus, and the Wood League, you have a ghostly day, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you folks next time.